Coming to paperback and Kindle Unlimited, Isis, All That Glitters. The goddess next door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited this March. As I've been following all of the controversy regarding this Rotten Tomatoes website and this Captain Marvel movie, I see a very disturbing picture emerging regarding censorship and a picture of gynocentrism driving that censorship. Now, this Captain Marvel movie started out on a really bad foot a couple of months ago by releasing a really bland teaser trailer and then following up on the Super Bowl with a trailer which really pushed a lot of feminist and gynocentric narratives, talking about how it's a story of her becoming a hero. And then later on we had your Brie Larson coming out here attacking the audience for Marvel Studios films, which was primarily men, by saying she did not want to see a lot of white men in her press conference. Now, a lot of the comic fans who had been supporting these Marvel Studios films over the years, they went to places like message boards, and they went to places like the Rotten Tomatoes website to express their feelings regarding the way they believe they were mistreated regarding this Brie Larson and the way she was acting. Now, a lot of those people, after hearing Brie Larson's statements talking about how she didn't want to see a host of white men in the press conference and talked about how the film was going to be a feminist film, a lot of those comic fans decided to go to this Rotten Tomatoes website and say that they were not interested in seeing this film. And as the numbers for the interest in this film started to drop, that's when we started to see Disney and Rotten Tomatoes start to do something that I found to be quite troubling. Now, you're in reaction to all of these comic fans coming out here to say that they did not want to see the film, and the aggregate number of people expressing their interest in the film declining. What your Rotten Tomatoes did was remove that indicator off of their website. Moreover, what they also did was remove the comment section and prevent people from going out here and writing reviews of the film. Even though the film hadn't been released, they removed that section of their website. And again, when I looked at those actions, they were tantamount to censorship, because when it came down to this Captain Marvel film, you would think they would let this film stand on its merits in the same way Rotten Tomatoes let Halle Berry's Catwoman stand on its merits back in 2004. Now, I remember back in 2004, there was a lot of negative press in the comic book community, and comic fans were literally in a frenzy roasting this Halle Berry Catwoman movie from the minute they saw Halle Berry in that costume with the open-toed boots and all the exposed skin, and to the point where they started to see the Patience Phillips character and not the Selena Kyle from the comics. And in response, what your Rotten Tomatoes did and what Warner Brothers did was let the film stand on its own merits, let the film take all of the negative criticism, and let the film deal with all of the negative press that it was receiving. And that's what any artist would do, because once you release a book, a movie, a television show, or any other form of art and place it in a public forum, then that piece of material is open to criticism. So you have to either take the positive or the negative, and you have to take the feedback from the audience, because that is the audience expressing their opinion regarding your artistic material. Unfortunately, in the case of this Captain Marvel movie, we have a host of simps, beta males, and white knights coming out here, and they're rushing to defend the honor of this Brie Larson and the Captain Marvel film. And I believe that this is due to gynocentrism, because your feminists, your beta males, your simps, and your white knights, they want to defend the honor of this white woman, and they don't want to see her held accountable for her actions, and they don't want to see her film judged by a standard that your Halle Berry's film, Catwoman, in 2004 was judged. Because, again, they don't want to hold your Brie Larson accountable, and they don't want to hold the producers of the Captain Marvel film accountable. And that smacks of gynocentrism, because in the gynocentric viewpoint, no woman can be held accountable for any mistake she made or made to take responsibility for any mistake that she makes. And that's not the way America is supposed to run. Now, in the United States of America, under our Constitution, we are guaranteed, under the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and when you have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, it allows people to say things that you don't like so that you can have an opportunity to say what you don't like about something else. And what they're doing on this Rotten Tomatoes website is something that flies in the face of our United States Constitution, and it has compromised the Rotten Tomatoes website. Because when you have a piece of art like this Captain Marvel film and you present it in a public forum, then again, that material is open to criticism from not only film critics, but from the general public. And if the general public wants to express its disinterest in seeing a film, then it is their right to do that on a website that is alleged to be an aggregator of the reviews of not only film critics, but also individuals. And if the public is telling you they are not anticipating to go see this film, then that is an indicator to a business like Disney that they have a bomb on their hands. And instead of your Kevin Feige and your Bob Iger coming in and checking Brie Larson regarding her feminist statements, what they are doing now is enabling her and not making her take responsibility. So there's a clear path of gynocentrism here at Disney, where we see the gynocentrism in this whole really backwards promotion, because when you have a promotion for a film, you would think your celebrity would be, who was starring in the film, would be out here trying to sell the product, and the business owners themselves would be working with that star towards selling the product, because that's going to put a positive image on the film. Unfortunately, your Brie Larson, a third-wave feminist, has gone out here, made statements talking about white men and talking about men in general, not understanding that the core audience for Marvel Studios movies is primarily men, and it's a large majority of white men, and it's been that way since 2008, when the first Marvel Studios film, Iron Man, was released. And it was men who primarily were the ones who were out here buying all the movie tickets for Marvel Studios movies, and they were the ones out here buying all the Marvel Studios merchandise, in addition to buying Marvel Comics merchandise on the regular. And what your Brie Larson was doing by saying things that were misandristic was telling those men that those men had no value, and that she did not respect those men, nor did she respect all of the work they did to build the Marvel Cinematic Universe and poured so many resources into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She showed absolutely no respect for the core base of customers. And what was added icing on the cake of this disrespect was, instead of your Bob Iger and Kevin Feige getting this Brie Larson, taking her in a corner and hard checking her, what these guys did was continue to enable and make excuses for her, showing us that gynocentrism is a culture in Disney, because in any other business, if your Brie Larson started coming out here and started talking against the customer, what that business owner would do is pull your Brie Larson's chain and then tell her to shut up because these are their customers and this is how they make their money, and they don't need you going into a political rant when they are trying to make money. I mean, even though Catwoman in 2004 was a very terrible film, I'd have to say your Halle Berry at least was a consummate enough professional to at least take the slings and the arrows that this film got, and even was gracious enough to even accept the Razzie that the film received. So at least she had enough character to take the criticism, but your Brie Larson, she is being shielded from this criticism by a host of simps, beta males, and white knights who believe that they're going to go out here and defend the honor of Brie Larson and Captain Marvel, not understanding that the character of Captain Marvel is one that is reviled by comic fans, and Brie Larson is starting to get their disdain as well. So I look at this whole attempt to try to censor a lot of the comic fans and the reviewers, and Marvel Studios is on the wrong side of this. What they should have done as a business was shut this Brie Larson up and tell her, look, we are trying to sell this film, we're trying to close up this Marvel Cinematic Universe, and with you being the new flagship star of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you are starting off on an absolutely terrible foot because you are alienating the core base of customers that supported the product over the years, and you are insulting the core base of customers that are out here buying the product over the years and have bought merchandise over the years from us. So your behavior is not in line. That is what any seasoned executive is going to tell the talent, because they are the one signing the check for the talent, and because they sign the check for the talent, they are going to hard check the talent and let them know that they are an employee, and if they continue to act in an unprofessional manner, they can be replaced as soon as possible. And that's the way your Bob Iger and Kevin Feige should have dealt with Brie Larson, but instead of doing that, they allowed this situation to escalate, and your Rotten Tomatoes is a website now that I would consider to be compromised, because instead of them standing up for the numerous reviewers and the review process and standing up for a United States Constitution, they bent a knee for Disney, and they tried to censor all of the American people, all because they wanted to win the attention and approval of women, showing us that they are more interested in winning the attention and approval of a small handful of feminists, white knights, simps, and cucks, and all of these SJWs, rather than going out here and giving us an objective aggregate of all of the opinions of film reviewers and average everyday moviegoers. As I see it, at this point, as it relates to this Captain Marvel movie, when I look at the unethical and even unconstitutional behaviors that your Disney has participated in, your Brie Larson has participated in, I believe that comic fans need to send a message on March 8th to your Brie Larson and the Disney Corporation regarding their unethical behavior by not going out here to go see this Captain Marvel movie, because the way they have behaved and the way they have approached this movie, it is just unethical and extremely unprofessional. Because if this film were any good on the merit, then you wouldn't have to go out here and talk about how it's making her a hero. You wouldn't have to talk about how she's such a strong woman, because Gal Gadot didn't have to do any of that with Wonder Woman, and she went out here and made this film. And yes, it was a pretty decent film, but she also let the film stand on the merit. And even other films she was in, like Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, she let those films stand on the merit in spite of all the bad reviews, instead of all the roast reviews. They sat there and she took the slings and arrows. But your Brie Larson, the third wave feminist, she's supposed to be playing this so-called strong woman, but it seems like she doesn't have the strength of character of a Halle Berry or a Gal Gadot, or the resolve to take the slings and arrows from the critics, and she doesn't have the backbone to do that because she's too weak. And that's the ironic thing about this. She's supposed to be playing this so-called super strong woman who's supposed to be the savior of the MCU, but she doesn't have the courage or the character to let a film that she is starring in stand on its merits. So as it looks like to me, she doesn't even have the character of the character she's supposed to be playing in her internals. And that's where I see with these feminists, they often talk a good game, but when it comes down to taking it, they can dish it out, but they just can't take it. And that's the thing that makes these feminists deeply troubling, is whenever they have to take a criticism, they want to shut down the whole platform, but that's not how it works in the United States of America. In the United States of America, again, we have the First Amendment, we have the right to freedom of speech, and no corporation has a right to abridge anybody's free speech, because as I see it, what your Rotten Tomatoes has done is flies in the face of America. And if they don't want to deal with and if Disney and Rotten Tomatoes don't want to deal with negative criticism, then there are going to be two companies that are going to go out of business, because in the business of entertainment, you have to take criticism, whether it be good, whether it be bad, and if you can't take it, the heat of that criticism, then you don't belong in the kitchen that is the entertainment industry. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. And if you want to donate to the upcoming ISIS graphic novel Indiegogo coming out on March 5th, you may do so on March 5th. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, E-Steam: The Sands of Time. It's action and adventure in ancient Egypt in this terrific teen time travel romance. Get your copy of E-Steam: The Sands of Time at your favorite online bookseller today.